I'll get started. First of all, good morning. I'm Tim Dunnigan, Chairman of Community Options. Today, I'm honored to present the Betty Pendler Award to United States Senator Bob Casey. This award recognizes Senator Casey for his leadership and advocacy on behalf of people with disabilities. Senator Casey recently advocated for policy that would establish programs under Medicare and Medicaid to address the effects of COVID-19 pandemic on people with disabilities and seniors. He worked with the current administration to implement the CARES Act, resulting in hazard pay and other funding for our direct support professionals providing to America's most vulnerable citizens. As senator, he pushed for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to become the most proactive state to aggressively fund direct care compensation. Additionally, Senator Casey pushed for auxiliary grant program for Medicaid home and community-based services. As an organization registered with USAID to give guidance and advice to providers in developing countries, we were excited this summer when Senator Casey presented a bill to establish an Office of International Disability Rights within the U.S. Department of State to ensure a focus on advocating for the often overlooked rights of persons with disabilities around the world. Senator Casey always keeps our offices in Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, King of Prussia, and Allentown, among others, informed. He has hosted calls and webinars to brief disabilities providers on legislation that addresses citizens' needs during the pandemic and on the combined role of government, nonprofits, and employers in expanding disability employment in the short and long term. Senator Casey has always kept us in mind and those we serve, especially during the devastation of this pandemic. His relentless pursuit to improve the lives of persons with disabilities, as well as continued advocacy for community-based programs, is why Community Options selected him for our most prestigious award. Since 1991, the Betty Pendler Award has recognized the person who best exemplifies Community Options' mission to develop housing and employment support for people with disabilities. Betty Pendler was the mother of a child with Down syndrome, a parent leader, and a tireless advocate. Past recipients of the award have included Governor Tom Keene, Ambassador Nikki Haley, and former Assistant Secretary of Education for Special Education and Rehabilitation, Madeline Will. Senator Casey joins a prestigious list of thoughtful and powerful advocates and will be the first United States Senator to receive the award. Senator, I wish I could give you this award in person and shake your hand. Nonetheless, I'm honored to present the 2020 Betty Pendler Award to you, Senator Casey. We wish to your continued success and look forward to your continued support as we work together on behalf of people with disabilities in the months and years to come. Congratulations, Senator.
Well, Tim, thanks so much for the award, and I want to thank you and thank you for the applause. It's one of the on a very light note, one of the real casualties of what we've been living through is no one gets to clap for each other anymore. So I'm honored by any claps at this stage, especially when you're working in Washington. We don't get many of those. But no, Tim, thank you, and Robert Stack and your whole team at Community Options. I'm really honored by the award, and I think it's my obligation to continue to prove myself worthy of this commendation. I want you to know that I exerted a lot of ingenuity to make sure that when I was driving home last night, that I brought it with me. I got to Scranton last night. And little footnote here, a lot of members of Congress are doing their own driving, so be careful on the roads. But it was a I was able to get it home, but what I didn't do is find a stand for it. So I'll just kind of hold it up. But I'm honored to receive it for so many reasons. But I think the real praise here should go to the team that I work with. I've been really lucky. Haven't had a chance to see who's on from our team, but I can sum up the help that I get on my staff on disability issues. I think like no other staff, I'm not sure there's a Senate office that has the kind of talent and dedication that our team has on these issues. And it can be summed up in 3 letters, MGM, Michael Gamble McCormick. And that's really not just about Michael, it's about Michael and his whole team. And he would be the first one to say that. So I'm really blessed to have that kind of expertise and dedication and real passion to continue to push forward the agenda of people with disabilities. And you know, in Washington, it's a town where agendas can be cast aside pretty easily. And our team has been able to keep pushing it forward. And the good news is there are folks in both parties, but frankly, not enough progress between and among members of both parties. But I think folks in both parties that have placed a higher emphasis on and a prioritization on issues that relate to people with disabilities. We need more of it. We've got a long way to go. I'm not at all satisfied with, for example, what the Congress has done, or I should say what the Senate has not done when it comes to a whole range of COVID-19 related issues. I think we need a big, bold relief bill now, meaning the month of December. We're going to go back on the 30th. And there's just a lot we've got to do, whether it's on funding for home and community-based services or direct help to frontline workers, making sure that people with disabilities and those that work with them feel safe and feel protected and can lead as close to a normal life as possible under these terrible circumstances. But I'm particularly grateful, and I just wanted to say a couple words of commendation and really of thanks, just to thank those who made this possible for me to receive the award. I also want to thank Community Options for the work that you do every day in so many areas of work and disability policy. I want to thank the heroic frontline workers who do this work every day in communities across our Commonwealth and across the country. And it's organizations like yours, like Community Options, that are vital partners in the fight for both equality and inclusion for Americans with disabilities. Too often, people with disabilities have barriers in their way, barriers to living among their friends and family, barriers to competitive employment, and of course, the very high poverty rate that is a reality for so many people with disabilities. So as the virus has exacerbated the employment gap that people with disabilities face, other challenges have arisen as well. So we've got to do a lot more, I think, as we both celebrate the 30th anniversary of the ADA, but also challenge ourselves when we're marking that anniversary to do more in the employment issues of people with disabilities. And suffice it to say, we've got a long way to go there. My staff was telling me about, just for example, a new idea that you've implemented, your new, quote, Daily Planet, unquote, shared office space site in Wayne, New Jersey, where people with disabilities have jobs that include performing administrative duties and maintaining some of the work in the office, whether it's getting people ready for work or otherwise. So we appreciate that kind of ingenuity and innovation. We appreciate the work that gets done every day to make sure that people with disabilities have the full range of opportunities in our society. The work that you're doing, as Tim made reference to focus on home and community-based services and the funding for it, the Medicaid funding, is something we should continue to pursue together. And unfortunately, Medicaid itself has not only been the subject of, or has not been the subject of a lot of attention, it's also been the subject of attacks attempts to cut it over the 10-year period. A lot of proposals the last 4 years in both houses, really, to cut it by hundreds of billions. The most recent being a 10-year cut, proposed cut, thank goodness, only proposed, 10-year proposed cut of $900 billion. That's worse than madness. That's a kind of reckless cruelty that we should not abide. So anyone who's going to cut Medicaid by those dollar amounts is going to have a fight with me. I'm not going to try to build consensus with them on a cut to Medicaid. I'm not going to try to negotiate. I'm going to beat them. That's what we do. When you propose cuts to Medicaid like that, we are determined to defeat your efforts to do that. Now, I'll work with them on other things, but on that, we're going to have a big fist up, figuratively speaking. So we've got work to do on that front. And I know that you might want to have a discussion now, so I'll stop talking because I probably talked too long already. But I'm grateful to have this award, but if anything, this award should only inspire or even compel me to keep working on these issues that warrant a lot more attention. So thanks very much.
Senator, thank you, and thank you for your continued advocacy. If you have a couple minutes, I'd just
Sure.
like to open it up for a couple questions for the board members.
Sure.
So I'll start. You touched a little bit on this, but do you think the Senate can work with the new administration to facilitate better rates for essential workers?
I think it can, and I think we must. I think both sides have an obligation, both branches of government. I do think that the incoming Biden administration will have an awareness of, a sensitivity to, and I think more than that, a passion for a lot of the issues we're talking about today. We're going to have to do our best to keep that focus in mind. We go from policy debates to appropriations to budget debates and the like. But I've been trying to pass legislation, as you know, to increase direct service worker pay and to provide agencies like yours with the funds to increase those benefits. It's been difficult because of that mindset or that environment to cut back on such efforts, but we're going to continue to work at it. I do think, though, that we're going to have a receptive ear or a receptive administration to these kinds of issues, but we're going to have to be vigilant and determined.
Thank you.
Thanks, Senator. This is Tim Dunnigan. Maybe along the similar lines, do you feel the Senate can work with the Department of Justice and other watchdog groups to enforce the Olmstead decision?
Yeah, it's such a monumental decision, and it warrants a lot of monitoring and a lot of enforcement. Obviously, I do think that a lot of this within the department comes down to not solely, but largely comes down to who serves in the Justice Department as the Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights. Someone who has to have a passion about this, not just a mechanical adherence to the decision. And that's what I'm going to be looking for in that appointment. I do think that, I have a high degree of optimism about that they'll find the right person, but we're going to, in this transition period, we're going to have to continue to make that case to the new administration as they begin to make appointments in the Department of Justice. Same is true in other departments as well. But we've got lots of ideas, and we'll continue to transmit those ideas that you have to us, to the administration, and I'm sure you're making those Olmstead and other priorities a subject of your communications with the administration or the incoming administration.
Absolutely.
Good morning, Senator. I'm Phil Leon, and Community Options wants to invite you to our gala at Heinz Field on October 12th, 2021. to celebrate 25 years of community options services provided in the state of Pennsylvania. Do you think you'd be able to attend?
Well, Phil, I'm have to talk to the schedulers. They are in control of my life, but no, I'd love to go. When you said gala, I was thinking of like a black tie. I've never been that well dressed at Heinz Field, so that'd be a new experience. But it sounds like a great event. I just have to. I don't want to commit to you and pretend that I can make a hard and fast commitment, but I'll make every effort to be there.
Well, we'll be sure to follow up with your scheduling team.
Thanks. Thanks so much.
Any other questions from the board members for the senator? Well, Senator, once again, thank you for your advocacy, and we look forward to continue working with you and your team on behalf of people with disabilities.
Well, Tim, thanks. I'm going to hold up the award one more time.
Oh, we'll clap for you one more time.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that my staff knows that I got the award home and I was able to somehow display it. I think they had a low level of confidence that I could achieve that, because senators are pretty limited when we're without staff, as you know. Thanks for the award, but above and beyond the award, thanks for the work that you do every day, because as John F. Kennedy said in his inaugural address, among many wonderful things he said that day, when he was talking about the challenges we faced then, much as we face today, he said, "Here on earth, God's work must truly be our own." And the work that you're doing every day is indeed God's work. And I'm grateful you're willing to continue to pursue it with passion and expertise, and with a degree of inspiration that helps all of us. So thanks very much for your work.
Thanks, Senator.
Thank you,
Thank
Senator.
you. Thank you.
God bless. Have a nice weekend too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Robert, it's Michael. Thank you so much. This went so well. We really, really appreciate it. And he's just tickled with the award. So thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Tim, thanks to you too. It was great to see you all. Take care.
Well, that concludes our Community Options Board of Directors meeting. Everybody have a great weekend and a great Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you too, as well.
Hey, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, thanks.
All
very
right.
much. Fantastic. Thank you.